And we are live. Welcome everybody to another episode of Sundays with the General. Again, I'll be quick this week. Not a lot going on. Just another slow week. NBA news. Not really anything besides DeAndre Ayton was offered a 4-year, $133 million offer sheet from the Pacers, which the Suns just matched. They had 48 hours to match it. They did. To me, I don't like the way the Suns handled this whole situation with Ayton. They kind of dragged this guy along for. Hello, Kenny. Is it still Kenny? Should I call you like something else so you don't get suspended again? And, should you go back to Kevin Cotterill? I don't like the way the Suns handled this situation on like the Ayton front. Is they dragged it out this whole time. They didn't know what they wanted to do. They never. It seemed this whole time that they were just going to let him go, and then I think they realized, like it seems like they just realized that, like, oh no, this is probably going to look really bad on us if we just let this young, talented center walk away. That helped bring us to an NBA Finals walk away for nothing. So I think their hand was kind of tied in that. I like that. I like that money for Ayton. I think he's a great young player. I think he's important to the Suns. The only other news is still waiting on it. The Jazz and Knicks are apparently heavily involved in trade talks around Donovan Mitchell. Yeah, I mean, it's a running joke. It sounds like a cliche. We all know Ainge is going to try to get his fucking bag, especially from a New York team. So he just got for Gobert. Ainge is going to get something good for Mitchell. He's not going to let New York fleece him. That's one thing that's for sure. As far as I assume he'd want a couple of players, he's going to match the salaries. I don't know how much it really does, but for the Knicks partnering Mitchell with Brunson, it doesn't make it that. It doesn't really move the needle on a team that much for me. Mitchell's a great player, but I don't think that doesn't really launch the Knicks into like real contention to me. Other than that, there's not really much going on in the NBA. Talk about the Drew League, probably just for the fact that LeBron showed up down there. Yeah, he went off, him and DeMar DeRozan. I'm not impressed by LeBron having a lot of points, having a lot of rebounds in the Drew League. I see Bleacher Report putting up, like, making fun of these guys for getting torched by LeBron in this game. And, like, what are we doing? How is that the conclusion y'all coming to from, like, LeBron's hitting his side steps, his spin moves, and fadeaways on these guys? These are dudes who are just trying to ball out, man. They're not. This is a pro-am. These aren't professional basketball players. LeBron's supposed to be beating up on these guys. These guys held their ground. As the final score of the game, that people on Bleacher Report's putting this up about how much LeBron went off. They're not putting up the final score of the game was a 2-point difference. One team had 2 NBA players on it. One team didn't. I'd be talking more about this group of amateurs that just went up and played a tight game against two legit NBA players. One of them being a top 3 player of all time. That's this guy Dion Wright. I ended up tweeting thing out, revealing his name is this dude faked LeBron out so hard with a spin move that should be getting talked about way more than this. Like, that's awesome. That dude's got a story he can tell for the rest of his life. The whole team has a story they can tell for the rest of their life. They hung in there and played a tight game against a team that had DeMar DeRozan and LeBron James on it. That's what the media should be talking about out of this. They shouldn't be praising how great LeBron looked in a fucking Drew League game. Like, I don't care how he looked in a Pro-Am game. I really don't, because it's LeBron James in a Pro-Am game. And come on, it's just ridiculous how that's getting hyped. Like I said, what should be getting hyped is this group of pretty much nobodies that was just going to try to show out in front of their friends and family, and then they have LeBron James show up and, try to ruin it. They held in there. They held in their own. They only lost by 2 points, with LeBron going off for 42 points and DeMar DeRozan having like 26, 27 points, something like that. Like I said, Drew League stat lines don't matter to me for these NBA guys. But like I said, that team, that group of guys I'd never heard of, probably would never have heard of, like Dion Wright right there, like I mentioned, I'd never have heard this guy's name anywhere in my life. Probably never would have known that this guy existed if he didn't completely fake out LeBron James on his spit. So good for him. That's awesome. That's the kind of shit I like to see in sports. Fuck making fun of these guys for getting scored on by one of the best scoring talents the NBA has ever seen. One of the best talents the NBA has ever seen. But that's just stupid to me. Of course, being from Boston, I do have to talk about LeBron James' comments. I think this guy likes to be talked about. Anyone else got that idea, that sense about him? Yeah, of course, you've all heard it. I said Celtics fans are racist as fuck. All Celtics fans are racist as fuck. All this. Look, there's this whole narrative. I know you all want to spin it, and you're going to say that I'm just denying racism in Boston. There's racist people in Boston, just like there is in every city in America and every city in the world. There's racist people everywhere. It's just a thing. It sucks. It shouldn't. But, yeah, there's racist people here. Saying all Celtics fans are racist as fuck, I think that's a little immature of an NBA player to just generalize an entire city like that, especially when you consider that he's a co-owner of the Boston Red Sox. But then again, that's might be like a prerequisite for like owning the Red Sox. You have to not like Boston fans. It could be something like that. I think it's bullshit, to be honest. In 2015, LeBron James said Boston was one of his favorite places to play because of the passion of the fans. In 2017, LeBron James said that he never experienced any racism in Boston, and that he thought that whole narrative was blown out of proportion. And how many games could LeBron have played in Boston since 2017? Because he went to the Lakers after about a year after that. 2018 is the last year with the Cavs. So he went to the Lakers. He's played here 4, 5 times, and now all of a sudden, it's the whole thing's flipped in his head, and now we're all racist. When you factor in all of that, again, I'm not denying that there's racist people in Boston. When you factor in all of that, this to me sounds like a guy who's trying to get attention and knows that he can get attention with a certain narrative. That's how I look at it. That there's no way that in his entire career he didn't think Boston was racist, and then, played like 4 or 5 games here in the last 4 years. Now all of a sudden we're the most racist city. Yeah, no. You're saying that for clicks. You're saying that to get attention. And his whole, the only instance that he could describe in this, if it's anyone else, I don't know if anyone else knows this, the only instance he could describe in which he said we were being racist was that they had "fuck LeBron" t-shirts. outside a game, like back in like the Heat days. Okay, just says fuck LeBron. There's no racial slur there. It's saying fuck you because we didn't like you. That's has nothing to do with the color of your skin. Just fuck LeBron. We didn't like you, man. You were our rival. It was a rivalry. They didn't like you. They were hostile towards you. That's we we say fuck Kyrie, and Kyrie's actually, god damn it, this guy is gonna make me fucking defend Kyrie Irving. What the fuck? Kyrie's never actually said Boston fans are racist, and Kyrie actually, after playing here in the playoffs, said that it's not hostile and he doesn't hate the Boston fans, and that it's fun and it's good for the game for fans to be that passionate. But so it was racist for us to say fuck LeBron, but Kyrie Irving never fucking cried about that. And this dude got a bottle thrown at his head, which again was a plastic empty water bottle that everyone fucking blew out of proportion in the media. But Kyrie Irving was like the only person that didn't say that was something to do with race. And he didn't even bitch about that. But like LeBron, of course, like, you know, he's played 4 or 5 games here since he said there was no racism in Boston. And now it's just a terrible place. Just terrible, terrible. Now, you're saying that shit for clicks, man. That's what I see that as. My terrible Twitter takes today is pretty much just going to be Bleacher Report's top young cores in the NBA. I'm going to pull up because this is just, you're going to have some shame, man. Number 1, Memphis Grizzlies. Yeah, they're a good young core. Number 2, New Orleans Pelicans. Number 3, Cleveland Cavaliers. Number 4, Boston Celtics. How are the Celtics 4? The Celtics are the 4th best young core. You're going to say that the Cavaliers have a better young core than Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Robert Williams. You're going to say that the Pelicans with Zion Williamson and Brandon, when he plays, if he plays, and Brandon Ingram are a better young core than than Tatum, Brown, and Williams. Tatum and Brown. First of all, this team was just 2 wins away from winning the NBA Finals. None of these Grizzlies, Pelicans, Cavaliers haven't even sniffed that. They haven't been in an Eastern Conference. They haven't been in a conference finals. But the Celtics have been in 4 of them and won one. It's done. That's after that. It goes Hawks, Oklahoma City, Toronto, Detroit, Houston, Orlando. None of those are that bad to me. But it's the Celtics have the best core, the best young core in the NBA, and that's not up for debate. It's not something we can really discuss. It's obvious. That's not. I think for me, I'd go Boston 1, Memphis 2. Probably go Atlanta 3, and then Cleveland, and then New Orleans. And again, the only reason I'd have New Orleans behind all this is I like Zion Williamson. Zion Williamson doesn't get on the court. The guy has not been healthy. He's got to get in shape. He's got to take care of his body. He's got to stay healthy and be on the court. Easier said than done. Yeah, easier said than done. But great player. I'm not going to say that because the Pelicans have a guy who's always hurt, that they're a better young core than these teams. And Cleveland, no disrespect to Cleveland. I really, really like this Darius Garland kid. Yes, I really like that kid. But I don't see any way that you can put Cleveland's young core above Boston's or Atlanta's. That doesn't really seem to make sense to me. I guess like I said, after the top five, you're kind of just splitting hairs. Oklahoma, yeah, I guess they'd probably have it. That's probably about the right place to put them as the sixth best young core. After that, yeah, Toronto, and then Pistons, Rockets, Magic. Ernest probably hates the Rockets being back there. Ernest probably thinks that the Rockets are, the number one best young core in the NBA, whatever. Anyway, I think that's all I got for you folks today. I'll be back, of course, next week. And don't forget, Blue Collar Media Group and Into the Lab especially will be in Cape Cod, Massachusetts, the first week of August 6th. We'll be hosting our annual Hoopathon with the Team Sims Academy from Sandwich, Mass. Courtney's run by Courtney Sims, who people out here may remember him. He grew up in Roxbury, played at Nobles and Greeno. I was a G League MVP. Very excited to be putting an event on with him, doing the same thing we did last year, trying to raise money, for these scholarship funds. Hope to see you all there. Hope to see you all donating and all that. I'm back next week. Talk about what the fuck I decide to talk about.